Hi, I've had a lot of people ask me how I train for the Ice Climbing World Cup, so I decided to make a video with some tips and techniques that I find provide a good foundation for anyone getting into dry tooling or dry tooling competitions. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is how to improve your reach while climbing. Now, as with other types of climbing, it's important to try to push with your legs as opposed to just pulling with your arms. That being said, when we're climbing with tools, there are a couple things that we can do to help improve our reach. The easiest thing is to make sure that we're climbing in the correct position with our tools. That means that our lower hand, our pulling hand, should be in the upper grip position, or the short grip position. And our upper hand, our reaching hand, should be in the lower grip position, or long grip. That just gives us a little bit of extra distance when we're going for those long moves.
When training long moves, I like to choose a hold that's in the center of the wall to allow me to use my legs to push up. And then I'll just move up as far as I can towards the corner. Again, it's important to remember pulling hand, short grip, reaching hand, long grip. And then for symmetry, I'll do the same on the other side. Again, pulling hand, short grip, reaching hand, long grip.
When you're climbing, you're going to come to a point where you're going to need to match to move through a series of holds. One of the most common ways of doing this is by simply matching in the high grip of your tool before moving on. Now, you can either rest the tool on your shoulder, as I did just now, or you can bite the tool before moving on. One thing I should mention is that when resting the tool on your shoulder, there is a chance of it falling off, especially in steeper terrain. Now, sometimes you can actually match in short on the same hold before moving up and continuing. And that actually allows us to reduce the amount of energy required, since we're pulling with both arms, as well as reducing the number of moves. Now, when I'm doing certain moves, such as a difficult shoulder move on a tenuous hold, I'll actually combine some of these techniques. Now, if I try to just match in short here, I'm going to be quite in a bad position, since I'm going to be away from the wall, and when I try to move up, my tools are going to move a lot, which is not something that I want. So what I want to do instead is match in directly to my upper grip, and with my free hand, I'm actually going to match in my lower grip and help pull my tool down to my hip before reaching up further. And that will actually give me a bit more stability on tenuous holds, as well as reducing the amount of energy required, since I'm using both hands to pull as opposed to just one. I'd like to talk a little bit more about the positioning of your tools. We already talked about short grip and long grip, but you also have reverse grip. Reverse grip has nothing to do with whether or not you're using short grip or long grip, but rather the positioning of the tool itself. When I'm holding the tool regularly, the head of the tool will be facing up in relation to my thumb. When I'm using reverse grip, the tool will be facing with the head down when my thumb is pointing up. This gives me a little added distance when reaching for long moves. It also provides a bit more natural position for my wrist on certain holds, as well as helping delay fatigue since you're changing the position of your hand. Now, using reverse grip can also give a bit more stability when doing certain moves, which I'll show you. I'll climb from this hold up to this hold, and this hold up to this hold, once using normal grip and once using reverse grip. Notice how stable the head of the tool is when in reverse grip as compared to normal grip. The last thing I'd like to talk about today is the Stein pull. Now, some of you might recognize the Stein pull as being a type of undercling, and is only partially correct. An undercling requires you to maintain constant pressure underneath the hold, otherwise you'll pop off. In a Stein pull position, the head of the tool rests against the wall, allowing you a lot more stability and requiring a lot less energy to maintain, as you can see behind me. Now, since the head of the tool rests against the wall, you can actually Stein in any position as long as the hold allows it. In competitions, you'll see quite often a Stein followed by a very long move. Something that I see a lot of people making a mistake with is they will hold on to the long grip of their tool while trying to reach. And you can see that that brings me really far away from the wall, which means that I can't really use my hips and my legs for that added distance. So first of all, I want to use the short grip. Another thing I want to do is a move that I like to call the Stein up. That is when you go from the Stein position to the floating undercling position, because that gives you a bit more dynamics to your move, allowing that extra bit of reach. So you'll go from the Stein position up into the undercling position. One thing to mention about the Stein is that in certain positions it won't be as stable as others. To provide a bit more stability, a couple of different gear companies have been adding cheeks to their tools to give you a wider base to provide more stability. To train the Stein pull, I have a really big solid hold here that I've drilled out to provide a strong solid Stein that I can move up from. So I'll go from here up to this side, up to the middle, up to the other side, to the middle again, to the other side, and then finish off with an undercling Stein. And obviously I'll do this on both sides. When I'm training this, I want to focus on precision and stability. So instead of moving as quickly as possible and just tagging each hold, I want to make sure that I have control of each hold, even if it's only for a second. So as I said before, this video is meant to provide a basis for some techniques to help you train for dry tooling and dry tooling competitions. I'll see how the response is after this video, and if there are any other techniques that people want to learn about, then I'll try to make another video about that in the future. Alright, thanks for watching.